Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Alec Ray and Tam McManus are here with me in the studio. And thank you to you for joining us as ever on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our channel. Thank you so much to so many of you for watching the show and subscribing. But there are still people who watch it who don't subscribe. So hit that button if you can. And if you get an opportunity, then why not join us on PLZ Premium as well. Lots of additional material there, and we'll let you see what you can win very shortly. I would like to say also thank you to Maggie's Cancer Care, because we have them as our official charity partner, and all you have to do is go to www.maggies.org to find out the great work that they do with people affected by cancer. So with that in mind, we've got lots to talk about, an action-packed programme with, of course, your contribution, greatly appreciated. If you want to say anything about the weekend in your team, then by all means let us know. And also the breaking news, Lutz Pfannenstiel has joined Aberdeen as their sporting director. I thought I'd pronounce that roughly right now, because I know you'll have to pronounce it as the weeks and months go on.
Most correctly, but not now. No.
They've been chasing him for a while,
Lutz.
So Lutz, he'll be abbreviated to that. He's come from Louis City in the MLS, but obviously he's got a major job on his hands as a sporting director, working closely with the manager, whoever that may be. Then we'll discuss that as well after Aberdeen lose to Hibs. There's so many talking points on the programme, but I've got a great question which was handed in by Trev, who says, after this weekend's results, do you think Celtic can split the two Edinburgh teams this season? Which I think gives you an indication of the way we're going on this programme. Okay. Well, let's look at the results. Here's exactly how it all panned out over the Saturday and the Sunday. Dundee United 3, St Mirren 1, Falkirk 2, Dundee 1, Livingston 1, Motherwell 2, Hearts 3, Celtic 1, Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2, and Rangers 3, Kilmarnock 1. And the reason why we're happy, Ruffy, is we've won a fair few quid. We're going to go on a big weekend away to Ibiza with our winnings, because we picked 4 out of the 6 correctly.
Yeah, we've been trying to get it all year, and it finally clicked at the weekend. First time, this season, but it was worthwhile waiting for. I think in a couple of games we were close, a wee bit fortunate, but we'll take it at the end of the day.
The only one that actually looked an absolute stonewall certainty, and I might as well do what I call a Tam McManus line.
I told you.
Yeah, I told you, exactly. Even he's only been here 4 weeks and he knows that's your line. I told you. Hearts 3, Celtic 1, Tam, discuss.
Yeah, listen, I think from a Hearts point of view, the belief that's going to go through that whole club now is incredible. I think that started the game really, really strongly. First 4 or 5 minutes really got after Celtic. Once Celtic got the goal, I thought for 15-20 minutes they controlled the game. I thought Callum McGregor was outstanding in that pivot role for Celtic. Hearts eventually got to grips with that in the second half. I think Lawrence Shankland did start to drop in and top of him, and they got a grip of it in the second half. Second half they ran out worthy winners, Peter. So people who maybe thought Hearts were a flash in the pan, I think they'll be thinking differently now, because I do believe that Hearts can go and win the league now.
Well, it's caused all sorts of consternation, from the Celtic perspective on what's going down, Ruffy. But the positive aspect, and I think this is something that we've got to look at, and as Tam mentioned there, we've got to look at the positive, which is Hearts, and the way they played, the way they went about their business. So there's been a lot of criticism, and I think rightly so, of Brendan Rodgers talking about the DNA of Celtic and the way they play football and how they had to counter Hearts and their physical approach in this 4-4-2. But I mean, is that sour grapes? Is that just someone who didn't get the fact that Hearts were up for it? Hearts were able to play. If you're a manager of Celtic, you should be able to accommodate the opposition and the way they want to play and how you overcome it.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think if you come up against teams who play a certain style, I'm sure all the teams in the Premiership play differently. You've got to adapt to that. I think he was just trying to diffuse the situation. But at the end of the day, as Tam said, initially I thought Hearts had more hunger to win the game. I thought Celtic thought they would just go through the emotions and eventually win the game. I do think you might agree with me or not agree with me. I thought the turning point was Nygren. Wonderful bit of skill, fantastic save. If that hits the back of the net, 2-1 up, might have changed the game. But let's not take anything away from Hearts. The second half, they were far superior than everything Celtic did.
I mean, the atmosphere was incredible to start with, which is exactly what Derek McInnes wanted. He wanted everybody up, charged up. You know what it's like. You've played there, throw in. People are going nuts for a throw in. But they had a good opening spell, and then slowly but surely Celtic got to grips with them.
Yeah, listen, you wouldn't expect anything other than Hearts starting fast, Peter, because the momentum's with them. The fans, you know, it's like it's a great place to play football, particularly when you're on this type of run. So I thought they started brilliantly, but I have to give Celtic credit, and I thought Callum McGregor was a driving force within Celtic, particularly in the first half. And they couldn't get to grips with Callum McGregor. They tried to get Braga to drop down, but he was just running off the back of Braga. And he's right, Ruffy, because if you get that goal, it could have been a slightly different complexion, because then Celtic get momentum. But you have to credit Derek McInnes, because he tactically changed it at half time.
What did he do?
Well, he dropped. They went with two, and then dropped one on to McGregor, and then McGregor was nil and void from then on. And what I thought they'd done brilliantly as well is I thought the two central midfielders were so energetic. I thought Cammy was brilliant, and Beningame. I thought the two of them worked in a pair across the pitch, getting after Celtic, and I thought they'd done excellent, and they were getting under their skin every time they were taking a touch. They were ratting in. I thought the back line was excellent. I thought the boy coming off the left hand side was sensational.
Fragilities.
Oh, tremendous. And one thing about this boy is, when he's backing people up and he gets you on the back foot, he's controlling the full back at that particular time. I know he got on top of it a little bit better in the second half. And I just thought that, you know, they were growing into the second half, and I thought they were the dominant team. And once they got to 3-1, I think they were very comfortable within that. Celtic huffed and puffed. But getting back to your comments about Brendan Rodgers, you know, Celtic have found a way to play against all these different, whether it's a low block, a mid block, an aggressive, route one. So they've managed to do that over the years. And unfortunately for them at the weekend, I think Hearts were worthy winners.
Well, I did ask him after the game. You know, there's been a lot made of the board and the criticism for their failure in the transfer window. But sooner or later, the buck stops with the manager.
Always taking responsibility. There's never been a time that I haven't. So I suggest when you're saying, you said, is there a time? There's always a time. When you're the manager at Celtic, you're responsible for the results, despite whatever else happens. So that responsibility is on me, yeah.
And he has to face up to that, Tam. I think now, you know, you've got a situation where you could visually see Celtic fans have had their say on the board. They know that the board is working off the Self-Preservation Society mode. But sooner or later, the manager has to say to himself, well, I might not like some of the players that has been signed, whether it's him or through a sporting group, but sooner or later he has to actually mould the team and get results from the team, and a team that can outspend everybody in the league.
Yeah, I think the supporters will be looking at his team selection yesterday. You know, we spoke about it last week. I thought putting the two young boys in, you know, Donovan and Murray, in a game like that, I thought was too much for them. I thought first half Donovan, you could tell he didn't want to let him inside. He kept driving the line. He kept showing him the line. And he got a little bit of joy from that. But second half, Peter, I thought that the two young boys, as I said, I thought Braga just went and played on him because he just went and played in that area in terms of the two young boys. And I think you've got a £6 million player on the bench, Trusty, who played alongside Scales in Atlanta in the Champions League, and both of them clipped a clean sheet. So I know he's just back training, but I'd have went with that, or I'd have played Ralston before Donovan.
Would that have been a factor though, Tam, depending on where he was physically?
I think he couldn't have been fit. You know, but playing the two young guys when you've got Ralston on the bench as well. I know Ralston takes a lot of stick, but he's an experienced player. He's played at big games. I just think that was the wrong decision. I think Johnny Kenny ran about. Don't think he's Celtic quality. Shin Yamada is still in the building. I think he's a better option there as well. So I think that if you're a Celtic supporter, you're looking at that team selection and going, "Nah, Brendan, you got that wrong."
I thought he hung the boy out to dry, and I didn't buy into it. And I asked him about the whole situation.
The balance.
Well, he's talking about the balance. Austin Trusty's a £6 million signing, and by the way, Alec, it's not as if it's one game. He hasn't had a sniff of that team at any point. Nobody's talking about him. No, and I think that's part of the problem. You know, we always go back to this recruitment situation. There's been plenty of players. You know, Engels hasn't really featured. Bernardo's Balikwisha as well recently. So there has been issues with players who have been signed actually getting game time, Peter. So I take your point on board. I think if he had his time over again, he probably would have threw him in. But again, as we're trying to balance in relation to
I'm not exactly sure how fit he is, but you know, it may well have been in hindsight when we were playing that experienced player in there, because to go with the 2 young boys, I actually don't mind Tony Ralston. I think he's a steady Eddie. He does what he says on the tin. You know, he's honest. He'll charge up and down, and he tends to defend relatively well. So it was a big call to play the both young kids. Come back to this recruitment and the board and the whole shooting match. They need to draw a line under this, and they need to start getting results, because you're absolutely right. We've said this for weeks, that it's roles reverse at Rangers. The manager was getting battered. The board were getting battered at Celtic Park, and it's now at the point, and I said this last week on this show, that I felt as if Sunday's game was pivotal, and then obviously you've got the semi-final next weekend, and I think the real tide could turn if the results don't go for Celtic.
Yeah, I think he's under pressure, Ruffy, because you're looking, do you know who the top scorer is?
Negrin?
Negrin, 5 goals. Yeah. And by the way, McGregor's got 1, McCowan's got 2, Hatate's got 1. There's nothing coming from the middle of the park. And I would say this, I think some people who've suggested that Callum McGregor is either off it or has passed it or is going on a downward spiral needs their head looked. He's been the best midfielder in the country for 5 years, easily for me. But he's now in a situation where you've got Hatate, who looks a shadow of the player he was.
Off it. Yeah.
Negrin, I mean, it's a big chance that he missed in the game, but that middle of the park for me is, they're not supplying anything. There's no goal threat from them.
The reason why McGregor's getting it is because it is a partnership in the midfield, Alec, isn't it? If you're in there with another 2, you've all got to complement each other, you've all got to help each other out. There's nobody helping McGregor out there now. He's fighting it himself. You can see it, you know, he's trying to get everybody going, but it's not happening. You know, I just think the biggest failing for Celtic, and the most positive thing for Celtic over the last 2 years, and when things weren't going well, 60 minutes, the bench would come on. There isn't a bench.
Yeah. Well,
There's no bench coming on now to turn the game.
Yeah, but you say that, but you've got Bernardo and McCowan, who were turning for games for him last year.
But he's not playing Bernardo.
No, and I know that. But what I'm saying to you is it's not. You can't then go. They're not there. They are there. They're on the bench yesterday, and they could actually have done that to mix them up.
Yeah.
Now you talk about Hatate, and then you also talk about Engels, who aren't really. I think a lot of the opposition are actually looking at Celtic now and saying, "See if we keep Callum McGregor quiet."
Yeah.
Because of the performance levels for some of the other
Rangers
guys.
have done it the last 4 or 5 games and got joy.
Absolutely.
But you even saw it in the Hearts game. As soon as the ball went anywhere near McGregor, whoever's nearest to him.
Yeah, but Ruffy,
Second half,
Ruffy,
first half, I didn't.
You and I have had a disagreement about this, and we probably will have a disagreement again about this, which is quite simply, and I've got no, bugbear on certain players. I'm just observing players and what they contribute. And Engels is £11 million, Tam, and I'm sorry, but he takes corner kicks. That's it. He doesn't do anything as a midfielder that changes games.
I think the game's too quick for him.
No, I'm sorry, but he's a player who's been signed to go.
Peter, he was a man of the match during the week against Sturm Graz. He had a great game.
One game, Tam.
No, it's not. It's many European games he's been excellent. Peter.
Tam,
I think he gets more time in the ball.
Issue then, Tam, because obviously you want to be trying to do it domestically. If it's
Absolutely.
Too quick, then there's the issue.
I don't think he's been good enough for Celtic domestically.
Don't buy him for 6 games and one of them you've been pumping.
And the price tag's not helping him.
No.
I think if he came in on £1 million, you wouldn't bother. You'd say he's a decent player. Because he's an £11 million player, you're thinking he's got to be better. So the price tag's not helping him either.
But Tam, surely you look at a midfielder and you think, what does he do? What does he do? I mean, I know your DNA. When you came to Rangers, I knew exactly what you were doing because I'd watched you at Sunderland, I'd watched you at Wolves, I knew the type of player you were, and I'm paying you the ultimate compliment here. You were what I call the classic rat player. You rat it about, you made sure they didn't, if there was somebody in their midfield who was somebody could cause trouble, you were there, you were on it, and then you had the neat and tidy stuff to help with the midfielders who were around you that maybe had a bit more creativity than you. But this guy's brought in, and I'm saying to myself, as a midfielder, what do you do? What do you do in a game that changes it, that influences it, that stops the other team doing it? I don't see it.
When was the last time Celtic had a player like that?
What to influence
a rat? The thing with the
Scott Brown was a master.
But I've never had anybody since.
But I think Callum McGregor's come in and actually, and I mean this with the greatest respect to both players, I think Callum McGregor's more of a technician and gets the ball moving and things. I think in terms of what you want from a Celtic 6, He gets after people. He's not as aggressive as Scott Brown will ever be.
No.
But in terms of playing forward, goal contribution and driving the team forward from a playing style, I think Callum McGregor is a more ideal player.
Absolutely, but Scott Brown, to his credit, was a good footballer as well. But he had that influence. The greater part of his makeup was he knew how to destabilise other people.
Absolutely.
He could noise them up within. Scott could start a fight in the tunnel before the teams come on. But then he had that ability to go and play football as well as mix it up. But I don't see it. But I have to say, and I'll read out some of the points here, because AMG says that he feels as if I've got an anti-Brendan Rodgers. You're so far from the truth it defies belief. We're observing a game where a manager, sooner or later, Ruffy, has to actually face up to the fact they're 8 points behind Hearts. Mm-hmm. They've been put out of the Champions League by a very poor team who are getting battered in the Champions League. They've lost a fortune. He's had, week in, week out, a rant, thinly veiled attacks on the board for leaving him high and dry, and I think Brendan Rodgers has got a legitimate point on that. But to avoid anybody having selective hearing, consistently we've said Brendan Rodgers is a really good coach, but I'm sorry,
I think you said he was a elite coach last week.
He is, he is, but the problem with him is he's in the same Groundhog Day movie again. The team has dropped off dramatically because he's not getting his way, and the performances are dropping off as well, and people are now looking and saying, well, he can't walk. There's not a chance in hell he's walking, because the Celtic fans would be all over the world making his life a misery. So he's going to sit it out, and he's either going to get sacked or Celtic are in for a long, painful season, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think now when he's getting interviewed after the game, he's getting asked questions he's never been asked before, because he's always been winning. But now people are asking him questions that he's got to come up with the right answers, because he's threw the car thing in, which is out of character. So that just shows you he is feeling it a wee bit, because you would never have got that when they're winning all the time. But now he's on the negative side. He knows himself he's got to start winning games.
But it's not as if some of these players are duff players. He's got to start using them, because he's under pressure now.
Yeah, well, obviously, as I said, the next couple of games are crucial, because, as I said, I think the disconnect with the fans and the board is very much evident. Now, as I said a couple of weeks ago, if it starts dipping off, I think the manager will be fair game. And then obviously the players, because what happens then is you have a scattergun approach. So, and they've got some good players, Peter, and I went for Hearts to get beat last week. I went for Celtic. I fancied them, but the three players that they lost were big players. So you've got Carter Vickers, you've got Alistair Johnson, and then Iheanacho was the main number 9 through the middle. And they're so thin in the ground in that particular forward area. So a bit light in that respect.
And unfortunately, Tam, Johnny Kenny couldn't hold the ball. He couldn't show for the ball. He just could not at any point hold that ball in, and then let the midfielders get anywhere near him support.
Nah, I think he's a decent player. He's not a Celtic standard striker, Peter. But that's what Celtic have got. Nacho's been obviously out injured now. The recruitment in the window, letting Adam Ida go and replace them with a free transfer. I think that the chickens are coming home to roost, Peter, with Celtic at the minute. They are toothless in the final third. They've got a guy who they tracked for 3 years, Balak looks very average. You've got Tinecti on the other side, looks powder puff.
He took him off.
Took him off.
He seems to have
physicality of the Scottish football.
Seems to have took a little bit of a dip.
Yeah,
like a whirlwind. And
he looks lightweight. He looks lightweight for the Scottish game.
You're coaching now, and we said this about Jimmy Talleen when he came in at Aberdeen, and we say this about everybody. Do you think when somebody comes in and they're starting to show flair, or a team starting to show flair, like Motherwell, great to watch at times, first hour, do you think the other opposition managers don't do their homework?
Oh no, of course they do. They'll double up on them. That's exactly what they do. No, without doubt.
You actually get to a point where you sit in the whole week and you say, right, here's this boy Tinecki. He'll drop his shoulder here. He'll go into the inside.
Block
this
that
is
off.
how you block it off.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So you do your homework.
No, and we do it at a level as well, Peter. So I take your point on board. You try and identify if he's tracking back in, and it's the lesser of two evils. Just show him down the line and then defend the ball. Come across the 6-yard box.
Now, I don't know about you, Tam, but I know you'll appreciate this. The battle between Devlin and McGregor was...
I loved it.
It was fantastic, because there is I don't know if we've still got the picture, but there's a picture of the two of them at one point. I mean, there they are. There they are. And I was sitting in the press box and I'm looking, I'm going, Now, this is what you want. McGregor with a wee bit of fight about him, and Devlin well up for it. He was ratting about, battering everybody that moved.
Yeah, I loved it. As I said, I thought Hearts in the middle of the park were excellent, but this wee guy was epitomised everything you would want for a Hearts team. He was in every battle, every fight, every tackle, and I'm actually surprised, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm not surprised that that's his particular style, but I'm surprised that Callum McGregor actually get involved in all that, because not only he's kind of just verbally kind of giving it to him and things, but it just shows you not only as a manager kind of a little bit under pressure with some of his comments off the park, he's feeling it as well, because he's a guy that's actually driving them on the park, so he feels as if he has to get embroiled in this type of stuff.
And see, when it's not going well, they're rolling him out every week to try and firefight. And he came into the press box, he never ducked a question, and he said, doesn't matter how many weeks we have to say, you wake up and smell the coffee here and what's happening. He came in and he was absolutely well pissed off.
He gets it, this guy. This guy's one of the most decorated players in Scottish football history. So he gets and he understands what the actual demands are. And he's actually, I tell you, I've seen the first half yesterday, I thought he was absolutely excellent.
Tremendous.
See the fact that he goes into that little pocket in the box and then just slots it into the far corner. He recognises he's a very intelligent footballer, and wee Devlin's trying to get in his face, trying to mix it up and trying to get him into his world. And Callum kind of stepped in. But I thought, as I said, tactically, I thought Derek McInnes, by actually dropping somebody onto him, getting a press on the defence, and they really had nothing, because you're absolutely right. So see if it's Iheanacho and he links it, it allows him Celtic to get up the park. And unfortunately, young boy Kenny just couldn't do that.
Yeah, and the other thing, Tam, which I found amazing for Derek McInnes to point out, was that Shankland and the miles he covers on the GMS, he might not do it, he said, with speed, but he's up there as in the top 2 or 3 at Hearts consistently on covering and closing down. We sometimes, there was a period last season, I'm sure you won't thank me for saying it, but there was a period last season where I thought he was towing a caravan, but he works his socks off, and he did again.
I think, particularly second half, Peter, I think he kind of dropped into Callum McGregor, nullified him, but he's one of those players you maybe think, oh, he's a bit of a luxury player, he's lazy, but he works his backside off for me, and he's a very clever footballer.
See, before we come on air here, you were talking about how you used to run in when you were younger, and Shanks has never really had that blistering pace. But I think he's really matured brilliantly as a player, because he drops into the little clever areas, he brings people in.
He's got legs beside him now.
And that's it, so you get the legs going the other side of him. And I think he's been a brilliant addition for Derek McInnes, because if he'd have walked, I think that would have been a big issue for him trying to replace somebody off Shanks' ilk.
Yeah, and when you consider the money that Celtic have spent and the money Hearts have spent, Derek McInnes was in the press conference highlighting exactly the disparity.
I'm well aware that Celtic are going to get better and improve, and they've got the strength. You've got to say Celtic spend millions and they pay millions in wages, a lot more than we can ever do. So there's a huge advantage that they've got over us. So any advantage we had going into the game, being a bit fresher, maybe they've got a few injuries or whatever, but listen, they hands down have got so many advantages over every other team in the league at the minute, including ourselves. So we are not focusing on Celtic, we're not focusing on anybody other than ourselves.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing, he's trying like mad to keep a lid on it, but yesterday was the first time when I sensed from the Hearts fans came on here. There's a real belief that he's going to find it very difficult if they keep motoring. How do you view the 8-point gap?
Well, I would agree with Brendan Rodgers. There's a lot of games to go. There's a lot of hard ones. They've got St Mirren, the next game up. They're the games that if they're going to do anything, they've got to win. No draws or anything like that. And the pressure's now, not pressure, I don't think that's the right word. Now the onus is on the players, the Hearts players, to step up to the mark. They'll know they're going into every game now. They're the target. They're the one everybody will be wanting to take points off. So they just have to keep doing what they're doing. And with the support behind them, you can see why they would. Yeah.
The last time that Celtic were battling it out in a title out with Rangers, when it was right to the wire, was 1985-86 season, Ruffy.
I remember it well.
Yeah, and I don't want you to get emotional. If you can, I know you've got some...
First time the gap's been that big.
Well, this is the point I was going to make to you, Ruffy. I did mention to Alison when we were there yesterday that the last time in the opening games of the season, Celtic at Celtic Park played Hearts and John Robertson scored the only goal, and in the other 3 games Hearts managed to get a draw. But Hearts went on an unbelievable unbeaten run right to the last day and lost it obviously against Dundee. But I thought I'd take you back, Ruffy, to 1985.
After beating Celtic 1-0 on the 12th of October 1985 thanks to a John Robertson goal at Celtic Park, Hearts would remain unbeaten in the Scottish Premiership until the last day of the season, losing 2-0 to Dundee to lose the league on goal difference to Celtic. The big movie of 1985 starred Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. Jennifer Rush was number 1 in the charts with The Power of Love. Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister and unemployment figure was above 3 million. The year of 1985 ends with Scotland qualifying for the World Cup.
Oh, Ruffy, hey, I hope that happens the same, you know.
Well, it's up to the...
Not Hearts losing the league in the last...
No.
I do. Sorry, did I say it out loud?
I think we all hope that Scotland make it, whatever way, if it's qualifying or whatever. As long as we get there, it's an incredible occasion to be there.
Yeah, of course, that was your last World Cup that you got to.
That was my third one, aye.
Yeah. Most people forget, actually, he didn't actually play. He just actually was on a holiday with Graham Sharp.
Social convener.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to say, Jennifer Rush as well, Ruffy, you'd have loved that. What age were you in 1985?
15, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good vintage year.
You had a full head of hair, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just starting to find Sylvester's in Ingham Street, yes.
And for the benefit of anyone who's wondering, it's a nightclub. But nevertheless, 1985, unbelievable. Thank you very much to so many of you for giving us your opinion on the game, because it was a brilliant day for Hearts. Celtic had to go away and lick their wounds, and I think there's a lot of people would like to mention here, and I think it's only right and proper that we try and quote as many people as possible, is the fact that there is a long way to go.
Absolutely.
And twists and turns along the way, and if, as we move on to the next game, if Danny Rule can sort it all out at Rangers, they will undoubtedly get better.
Yeah, I think there's a few Rangers supporters thinking not only the Hearts there for taking, but Celtic, closing the gap to 5 points, Peter. Rangers have had a disastrous start of the season and they're only 5 points behind Celtic, so they'll be looking at going and beating Hibs on Wednesday night and getting themselves back in the title race as well. So, yeah, listen, I think it was a deserved win, a comfortable win. I still think there's areas that Rangers can improve on. But all you can do is keep winning games. And if you're the Rangers manager, Danny Role, just win. It doesn't matter if it's 2-1, 1-0, 6-1. You just need to go on a run of games now consecutively and try and put some pressure on the teams above you.
What did you make of them?
Yeah, I went along to see it, Peter. It was interesting because it's a long time since I've seen a back three at home against a smaller team, if you like. So normally, either 4. But I think they're so vulnerable at the back. That's the reason why I went for a 3 again on Wednesday night against Hibs, because they just need that kind of solidity, and if they can get that, it gives them something to build on, and they'll be looking for back-to-back. This is a fragile group, Peter. Even yesterday when they were won, they were comfortable, a lot of possession and so forth, but as soon as that goal went in, you could hear the discontent with the Rangers fans, and then you kind of seen them going into their shell a little bit, but they managed to dig in. I think they were worthy winners yesterday, and I expect a similar kind of performance on because they'll go light for light. They'll try and dominate. They'll try and get Tavernier to step or Cornelius to step forward for the press, and then try and play possession based that way. It's great to see Danilo back as well, because for me, the time that I was there, he was by far the best finisher at the club. He was very instinctive, very cool. It was almost as if time slows down and he just slots, which is great. So he needs a run of games. It's been a torrid time for him, and I was quite impressed with Chermiti as well when he came on. I liked the way he linked, I liked the way he moved about. I thought there was a wee bit of development in this player, and hopefully the goal settles down. The Rangers fans were brilliant in terms of the response to that goal. It was a I think they realise, because as Tam mentioned earlier on about Engels, the price tag has actually put pressure on this boy right away. It's like you said, if you paid 700 grand or 1.5 million, you think, right, it's just a young boy with potential. The fact that you've paid 8 to 10 million puts more pressure on him. But as a Rangers number 9, you've got to score goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of Kilmarnock and what threat they offered, it's about winning games, Ruffy, as everybody knows, and just getting that momentum. Tam put it nicely into context there. For such a catastrophic season so far, they're only 5 points behind Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, right, they need to win games. You could see the support. The support are the main people for me just now. They've got to get behind the players. I think there was too many players in the Rangers team couldn't handle that negativity from the crowd.
Does, yeah.
I think if they get on board, that and win games, which obviously helps. I mean, they're not that far away with everybody else. No losing games here and there. You've got to say, yeah, if we go on a run. But I thought for one stage at that game that the Kilmarnock goalie thought we had him on his coupon at the weekend.
One he had off the back of Nilis.
I mean, it
was bizarre, that.
And the third goal. Only the third one. What was he doing at the third one?
No, I know. It was interesting because
it was a day of mistakes by goalkeepers. That.
Do you know the interesting thing? You're talking about turning points within a game, and we were obviously meant if Negrin had scored for Celtic. See if the boy for Kilmarnock scores a header at the back post. I was in the Broomland stand, and the actual Big Jack managed to get down and make amends, because obviously the first goal was down to the big fella. So it was a really, at the timing of that as well, would have made it 2-2, I think. So then there's that discontent again with the fans, and here we go again, and then obviously the chief executive and the head of recruitment would have got it in the neck, and it would have started that negativity. So by that save actually kind of keeps them going in the lead. And then they got that one through Chermiti later on. So, and as you say, they nicked another one through Raskin. Was it Raskin? It was a tight offside. So, yeah. But anyway, I think over the piece, I think Rangers were worthy. I thought, Kilmarnock were a bit toothless actually.
Good to know, Ruffy, that Alex was in the Broom Lounge stand. Only had one macaroon bar and one spearmint chewing gum left. And he sold everything.
Oh man, remember the good old days? You don't forget this. Macaroon bar, spearmint chewing gum.
I don't know who came up with. I think everybody will need a macaroon bar to go to a game, Ruffy. It was just magnificent.
I've loved macaroon bars since then. I was a wee boy at Ibrox.
Absolutely.
Do you like them?
Aye, I love them.
I'll bring them in. We'll go down the barracks and get a box.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely, and some VHSs of movies that we haven't seen in a long while.
What do you think of the goalkeeper at fault for the third goal, Chermiti?
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
The boy Beach. I thought he'd sand in his eyes.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about? You don't know what he was doing. I had to swerve at the last minute. You say that.
Right at him.
Eh?
It was right at him.
I thought that was Zico with the free kick, but somehow you said he took a wicked swerve.
Tam sent me a video of Zico practicing, and he was curling it by everybody in that top corner.
Yeah.
He's about 73.
Yeah, well, listen.
Yes,
exactly. The one thing about it, from a positive point of view, Rangers fans responded. Rangers got the 3 points, and Danny Rule reckons there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, big thank you to the supporters. But I said this to my players after the game. They should also really enjoy this moment today after the game. I think the last weeks, months is not always easy, but I think this is for me as well a goal. Yeah, we want to win games, we want to play attractive football, and we want to do it together with our fans. And if you bring us closer and closer, and we are really strong together, then I think we can really be successful in the future here. And today was a small step, not more, because the journey is still long to go.
I think the one key area that a lot of people think will happen, Tam, is because of maybe the managers and coaches that he's worked with, he will bring some kind of German mentality to the organisation at the back, because it's only 3 points, as he rightly points out. They're going to get a big test against Hibs. They're going to be tested, and we're going to find out if those weaknesses come back, because with all due respect, Alec was there with Philippe Clement. There's been managers before Philippe Clement who've all tried to build a team, but the weaknesses at the back have been there for all to see.
Yeah, I think that's the key area for him that he's got to sort out initially, is get them more solid defensively. Losing too many goals, Peter. And if you're David Gray, you're targeting Magoma, you're targeting Tavernier in those areas. They're great going forward.
I think that's why they'll go with a back three.
Yeah.
Both of them had great assists yesterday. Tavernier puts a great ball in for the goal. Magoma puts a great ball in for Danilo's header. So they're great going forward, Peter, but defensively they're miles off it, and good teams will punish them. And I think Hibs are a good team. I think Hibs played really, really well yesterday. They're going to go into their game, but I think if you're Danny Rowe initially you're just thinking, right, let's get back to keeping clean sheets and being solid defensively, and then, you know, working our way forward and try to score goals and win games.
Is that not a good way to kind of start things off? Try and secure the back line?
Yeah.
You know, it's all right saying we're going to be free-flowing and possession-based, but you need to secure the back line, because if you take the game last Thursday as an example, they were wide open.
Was that a problem that Philippe encountered, you know, over his period as well, that it was something that do you think if you'd had that consistently, a solid back four or a back five, whatever?
Well, I think if you remember when we came in, Peter, we actually did relatively well with the back four. It was in situ, and it had obviously Barisic and Conor Golson within that.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you get to the summer, there's a kind of drop off in the wages, and guys like Conor and that end up getting shipped out. And then we bring players in, and with greatest respect to these fellas, they were not as good as Conor. So, you know, ultimately you've lost a guy that was kind of really...
So there's a drop in standard.
Yeah, and I think that's fairly well documented, the player that you brought in, but ultimately you had to reduce 1/5 of the wages. So then you end up with projects and younger players, and then players you're thinking, right, okay. But ultimately I would have kept Conor, but I don't think it was an option for the big guy going into that second season for him.
Yeah. As far as this is the thing about it, we'll look at the league table shortly, Ruffy, but I can't work out some of the teams, because you get 2 or 3 great performances and you think, oh, I mean, I watched Kilmarnock up at Tannadice and I thought they looked decent, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, at Ibrox, nothing, and Stuart Kettlewell, the Killie boss, was first to admit that as well.
I don't buy into the noise. I have to go back to that. When you've invested so many millions into your squad, there's good players here. We spoke about confidence earlier on, so sometimes that confidence can be lacking. What we spoke about was not giving Rangers any incentive to grow into the game, not giving them incentive to get sighters of our goal, and that's what we've done. So, you know, Bruce Anderson's header, which was a brilliant header, great ball, in I think it was 61 minutes, 62 minutes, something like that. That's a brilliant opportunity to get level. That's a brilliant opportunity to take yourself back into a game. It's a wonderful save, by the way, from Jack Butland. But those are defining moments in games. But we knew that coming into the game. At no point did we ever think that we had a God-given right to come here and win comfortably and dominate the ball. It's not going to be the case. It's not going to be a thing. But what we realised we had to do was be resolute at times, defend properly, make good decisions. And we didn't do that.
And suddenly they dropped to 8th.
Yeah, and it's that tight a league, Peter. You know, you've got the league table up there yourself, and there's not a lot in it in that mid pack. You know, Falkirk got a great win at the weekend up in the top 6. So
yeah,
there's a couple of wins can get you, you know, flying up the table. A couple of defeats, you're looking at relegation again. So yeah, listen, I think as a Kilmarnock manager, Kilmarnock fan, no matter how the Rangers are playing, you're not expecting to go to Ibrox and get a result.
Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2, and Hibs really have cemented their place in there in that third berth. It's been a good weekend for the Edinburgh clubs.
Yeah, it has, and I think it's great for Scottish football. You know, I know we sit and joke about Hearts and me being an ex-Hibs player, but I think it's refreshing for Scottish football to have a team outside the Celtic Rangers going and really putting a challenge in. So Hibs will be looking to do the same. I think they've been overshadowed by Hearts this season, but they've played 9 games, they've only lost 1. You know, and I know they've had a few draws in there, but they're sitting in third place. They've got a huge game coming up during the week, but I thought Hibs yesterday, I thought they were outstanding. I thought Hibs, you know, the shape they had at the back, very, very solid with the back 3 and Balazer sitting in front. And on the counter-attack, Hibs could have scored 5, 6, 7 goals yesterday easily. You know, they murdered Aberdeen in the middle of the park. We're obviously going to go into Aberdeen, but, you know, Aberdeen played the 3-4-3 and the 2 in the middle of the Palaversa and Armstrong. They've no legs, no physicality. And Mulligan and McGrath, and they just steamrolled them. And, you know, Aberdeen, you know, in terms of them, 2-1 flattered them massively. You know, that could easily have been 5 or 6.
And over the piece, are we back to that? I'm loath.
Hey, what's your Jimmy Tilleen?
I
had his agent on to me last night for something I said, so I need to be careful.
There's a whole wad of Aberdeen fans who are waiting to see what our take is on Jimmy Tilleen. Mine hasn't. I haven't changed my narrative on Jimmy Tilleen, because quite simply 2 games didn't change it for me. They got an embarrassing hammering in Europe, and you know,
could have been the same again yesterday, Peter.
Well, this is the point.
More ruthless.
By the way, there is a point where I think that board are going to have to look and say, I was listening to a few Aberdeen fans, you know, on social media as well, and I know a few Dons fans that I speak to. they're not overly enamoured with him now. That kind of a love after the cup has quickly, utterly, it's not gone completely, but it's diminishing day by day.
I think it's the fact when you look at the quality they've got, the players they signed. They signed the boy Jasper Karlsson on loan. He's an £8 million player, Swedish international. They've got Kevin Nisbet, who was poor yesterday. They've got a lot of Lazetic they signed, I think, on loan for AC Milan. They've got a real good squad of players, but I think they're lightweight, Peter. I think they're very, very lightweight, and I think it's far too easy to play through them.
More legs in the team needed, Tom.
To play that 3-4-3, to play Armstrong and Palaversa in there, honestly, you can't play that way. They've not got any physicality, they've not got any legs, and Hibs just steamrolled them in the middle of the park.
Did you think it was a foul on Armstrong for Cleage's goal?
Nah.
You're not having it?
Nah, I don't think so, Peter. I think he's got to be stronger in that situation, but, as I said to you, Cleage, outstanding, handled well from David Gray. And Eli Johan came from nowhere. He's been bombed out. He's getting a wee bit of stick for the Hibs supporters. Came back and showed that he's still about and still capable of scoring goals for Hibs. So Martin Boyle on the bench. So we're speaking earlier.
We're talking about the importance.
4 real quality strikers Hibs have got now.
Yeah, I think whatever level you're playing at, the bench is so important because if you're flipping over and you want to have like for like, and I think Hibs have that now.
Yeah, what do you make of Aberdeen?
I thought they were poor, Peter. I thought they were kind of pedestrian, as he says. And
they did have chances, though, Alex.
Yeah, no, but they do. And I think they, again, at the top end of the pitch, that's been one of their Achilles' heels over the course of this season. They've not been able to score enough goals, Peter. And that was evident against yesterday because they're getting into some decent areas and they don't capitalise on it. And see, when you do get into these areas, the importance of scoring is obviously crucial because it kind of gives you momentum, it gets you going, it knocks the opposition. But Hibs have actually gone along really nicely, as Tam says. It's 1 defeat so far. They will go into this, and we spoke about the importance of getting into a game feeling confident. Easter Road's going to be absolutely bouncing. The rivalry between these both clubs as well. So yeah. That'll be one of the games of the night.
Yeah, sometimes, Ruffy, you get a situation where, how there are actually pockets of clubs in cities that you can go to and you can mix with those fans because you get on with them. Where you have 2 sets of different supporters. That doesn't really happen with
That's why Tam's sitting over there.
Exactly. That doesn't happen with Hibs and Rangers. Ruffy, there is a wee bit of needle. A wee bit of needle about them.
When did that come from? Just
yeah.
I remember Alec McLeish left. Was at Hibs as the manager, went to Rangers in his first game back at Easter Road. I get sent off, we had 3 men sent off, we get beat 3-0 and Big Eck was getting slaughtered, so I didn't think there was that big a rivalry between the clubs, but after that night, when we were down to 8 men and beat 3-0 and Alec McLeish was getting a police escort off, I thought...
It's another poor refereeing decision for you to go off, aye?
I think I maybe said something to Mike McCurry that didn't like.
Days gone by, there used to be a lot of Rangers players went to Hearts. I don't remember many going to Hibs. Off the top of my head.
Jimmy Smith?
Alec Miller?
When I'm talking about all the
Hearts players going to Rangers.
We'll rattle out a bit.
Whittaker?
Aye.
What have the Romans
Ian Murray. Ian Murray.
What have the Romans done?
As soon as you start firing the money, okay then.
Just a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Steen. There's
no flags.
Andy got him.
The Aberdeen game. No flags.
There's no flags. You like flags. I swear to God, Ruffy.
This is the first time they've started leaving in droves.
Yeah. Yesterday, Alison was sitting in the press box with me, and just before the teams came out at Tynecastle, and I turned to Alison and I went, "Oh, Ruffy would love this." Over on the far side, all the Hearts ball boys have flags.
The good old days.
It's really cranking it up. You need flags at the grounds.
Yeah, most
Do you know who was impressive? The team Rangers played.
Bran?
They had the huge area in the corner with huge flags as well. Really like that. But nevertheless, the Hibbies won. Aberdeen. Talene, are we right to throw a spotlight on?
I'm only going by what I saw on the television. Obviously, I'm saying the Aberdeen fans have hung in there since the Scottish Cup win. They've hung in with all the bad results. They weren't hanging about yesterday. They were starting to leave. The owner was there. His demeanour didn't look too particularly cheerful, so they'll have discussions, but sometimes managers get away with not what's happening on the park, but what is he doing off the park? What's happening off the park? Because it's a big club.
Yeah.
And it depends whether he's happy with what's going on.
I think there comes a point where they'll start to look and see other teams racing away, and if it gets to, for me, that point is coming pretty soon, Tam, and the reason for that is when your narrative and your thought process starts to say, can we make the top six?
Yeah, well, I think that's it. But Tam made a good point there in terms of how condensed the league is, and if you can get a couple of back-to-back wins, it just buys them a little bit of time. But I don't think they'll look to pull the trigger quite yet. And I think as you're getting closer to January and you're thinking about maybe recruiting one or two, and you are thinking about making that change, I think it'll come more towards the end of the calendar year.
That's backed him though.
No, and I know that, but see, before you go into the winter, you ain't going to give him January and go, right, we'll bring in Peter, Ruffy and Tam, and then when it gets to February, bump him, because it's too little too late, because then you're trying to kind of maybe think about the second part of the season, if you're recruiting.
Did you say, you know, Jimmy Killian's agent? that on this show is a disaster for any Aberdeen manager. If Tam has got any connection with any assistant manager,
he's in trouble.
I don't know Tam anyway.
He's in trouble. But they've got Kilmarnock away on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Tricky game for them.
Every club he's ever played for is administration, liquidation or relegation.
Yes.
Which is a worrying time here at PLZ Soccer.
You're still going strong. You're still going strong.
Still there. Dundee United 3, St Mirren 1, and a peach of a goal again from a good Scottish player. I can remember him as a boy at Falkirk.
Me too.
And
I was a young kid when I was there.
Lad, and what a good player. What a goal that was, Ruffy.
they're the kind of goals that guys score in training, isn't it? You know, they've got all the time when nobody shuts them down and they've got all the ability in the world and they just look up and they just curl it.
Do you know the thing is, it's an incredible strike. You're right, it's a great strike. Do you know the thing that bugs me? And I mean across the board. See, when you've got a player of his ilk, you know he's checking onto his left foot. You know he's not gone to his right. You know he's dropping the shoulder, checking in, and he's hitting a shot, and nobody puts himself on the line of the ball.
Yeah.
And it just because all he's doing is he's using you
as a marker,
as a benchmark.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me, because you know, and with the greatest respect to Sybil, he's not as if he's the most mobile. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as if you come up against a really tricky winger. You know he's going to try to drop the shoulder, and then allow him to come into that stronger left foot.
What was the better goal? The one at Rangers or that one?
Or Rangers.
Rangers for me, yeah.
Rangers.
I have to say, two top class strikes.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Jim Goodwin obviously keen to praise Amar Fata as well.
Oh, I
commanded the situation.
I shouted him over and told him to take it. I felt he's as I said, he's very, very good in those situations. He was absolutely gutted and in tears after the game against Vienna, and I don't think there's any better way to put those types of things behind you than to go and step up and put the next one in the back of the net, and he done that brilliantly.
Obviously, I get the first one can't go to VAR anyway, but the linesman makes a decision from a long way away, and that I'm certain of is on the line, so it's not a free kick, which obviously leads to the goal from 18 yards, like a free shot in. The penalty, as I say, I've only seen it from one angle, so they've obviously seen it. John described it as the worst tackle he's ever seen to some of our players. I spoke to John, and he said the same. He thought it was a straight red card and dangerous.
Did you think it was a straight red card and dangerous? Gogic?
No.
No?
No.
So you don't think it was a penalty?
I think it was a penalty. I didn't think it was a red card, Peter.
I didn't think it was a red card. I didn't think it was even dangerous, did you?
Yeah,
I thought it was brutal.
So did
Did
I.
you? Well, that's coming from you, that's
No,
good.
I'm serious.
That must have been a badging.
I'm surprised it didn't lead them into a meat wagon.
I'm serious. So the thing is, see, he's caught him so high, and he's out of control. He's lunging towards him. Now, I'm not saying it's excessive in terms, but see, when you catch someone there and then you're coming down onto his leg as well, I think it was a pretty straightforward decision. And I agree with the manager there in terms of the one on the line. I think that's a terrible call from whoever gave it, whether it was the linesman or whether it was the ref. I thought it was a poor call, but I thought Gogic was a red card. I'm
reluctant to be in any way negative about St Mirren, Ruffy, because Stephen Robinson is so experienced that he looks, and as Tam's pointed out, the league's so tight that St Mirren are that type of team where he knows that they're going to have sore ones, but he just starts to pick them up at the right time, and they start, a run of games, and then all of a sudden you look and you go, oh, wait a minute, they're fifth. Do you know what I mean? They're
struggling to score goals, Peter.
Yeah, at the moment.
I think that's his source of frustration. You hear him, he says we're getting into some great positions and we're not capitalising it. Again, that's the reason why you pay these guys the top dough. That's why Tam was getting all that money back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then eventually the money just drops off until you get to Irish football. but fair play to Dundee United. I look at them in the table, Tam, they're fourth.
Yeah, but listen, I think I've been really impressed with Dundee United this season. As I said at the start of the season, Jim Goodwin's signed 13, 14 players from all over the place, so his recruitment's been good. I think they trust him up at Dundee United to bring players in, and as I said, they'll be pushing for the top 6 again. St Mirren, Hearts at home on Wednesday, big game for them as well.
Yeah, Falkirk 2, Dundee 1. Actually, when we were on the verge of a huge amount of money, I was actually just sending the text in the group chat. This doesn't look good, because I had Dundee to win on Friday's predictions, but suddenly a wonder goal. This is a guy who played midfield, Conor Allen, and dropped back into defence. But by the way, what about that for Cameron?
It's one of the best goals you've seen all season. In terms of the last minute as well, running towards goal. His little drag just before he finishes, and then just bends it outside his foot. It's a wonderful goal, Peter, and fit to win any game. And Dundee will be disappointed about the...
It's a foul.
What's the foul?
You had a wee on.
Conor Allen?
Halfway line.
Yeah.
You don't see it?
I didn't think that was a foul.
And the ball, you saw the ball bouncing the opposite way, and then he flicks it with his arm.
Yeah. Got away with it.
He definitely got away with it.
What about the goal in the end, though?
Oh, fantastic goal.
Yeah. The funny thing is, it reminds me of, I don't know, you probably would have played with him. Some players go into the box, and then when they get near the goal, their heart rate...
Nosebleed.
Yeah. Owen Coyle's heart rate used to go down. He just...
Slotted it.
Mm.
I thought it was a brilliant finish for the boy, but he's right, Tam, because he actually drags it and then he kind of feints to shoot, buys the centre halves away for a pie, and then he just slots it into the corner.
Wonderful.
It was a brilliant goal, and it's worthy as well. I know young Connor for Rangers, and it was a brilliant way to win it for them. There was obviously a dubious decision when Dundee were 1-up. To this, I just cannot see how that's given us a free kick against them.
Yeah, Stephen Presley will be raging, but the other part of this is Falkirk haven't spent the millions that Celtic spent, and they were able to beat Dundee. Isn't that a crazy league, Roffy?
It is, and we've discussed all the games. Sometimes it's about taking your chances at the right time, getting that momentum. Matters a lot. They've been a credit since they've come in. I mean, we saw them when they played against Celtic last year, the 5-2 game. They were really good to watch, and they've been good to watch this year. And I think the philosophy they've got is exciting for our league, because that's what we want to see teams. We want to see teams trying to win games. We don't want to see teams sitting in and making it hard to beat. So they've been a credit this year.
I don't know about that. There's nothing wrong with sitting in and nicking a point, because you look at David Martindale, is it four in injury time he's conceded?
Yeah, and by the way, I have to say, as the last game we're talking about...
You don't want to see people say...
The last game we're talking about, Livingston, I mean, honestly, at one point when I was watching the game, David Martindale just looked up to the heavens as if to say,
what the...
last minute to go, defending. They've just had a goal chalked off 2 minutes before it.
2 goals?
I know, but the 2 minutes before it, had been just offside, and then 2 minutes later they slot a ball in the easiest position for him to win it.
Yeah, and I think they're a little bit wide open at that point, and I think that'll be a source of frustration, because I think that's their 4th time they've conceded goals in injury time. And as I said there, so I take his point on board, fans want to see it, but you have to manage games as well. For Livingston to nib it, even if you nick 2 of their points, 3 of their points, then you're maybe a couple of positions up. Aesthetically it looks better. Source of frustration.
Stephen Presley came out with a good point. He says in this league, if you go away from home, if you get a draw, it's a good result.
They're missing McGowan.
Yeah, they're missing Big Gowser. Obviously he's been no well, had a bit of an illness, but I think they're missing his experience and leadership. Him and Danny Wilson were a good partnership last year in the Championship, so they are missing his influence at the back, but I think Motherwell thoroughly deserved to win the game. I thought that the 2 offside goals were marginal, real marginal, decisions, and they kept going. They kept going, they got the win on the end. And
good finish, yeah?
Yeah, was a good finish. I think the goalkeeper maybe expects him to go early. I think he goes down a wee bit early, Ruffy.
Disappointed, Ruffy?
He tried to anticipate where he was going, but I think Motherwell deserved it, and I think it's great for Motherwell because we all enjoy watching them, Peter, but there was starting to be a wee bit of questions asked about their mettle.
Win games,
and they've went and got good results, so that's good for them.
Yeah, it was a good win for Motherwell. The one thing about it though, Alec, is, and I've mentioned it to their manager, and again, managers prickly when you get into press conferences with them, but I did mention to them that teams do, managers do, players do, they work out the way you're going to play, and they try and work out how to nullify it, and at times Motherwell in the first 20 minutes were they were a joy to watch against Livingston, but slowly but surely the game takes a little turn.
Yeah, and I think they're the times that Motherwell have to manage and then try and see it out. But when they've got so much dominance, Peter, and so much control of the game, I think at that particular time, if you can get the goals early doors, it makes your life that little bit easier. When it does, the opposition, they fathom out how to kind of stop what you're trying to do. But as I said to you, I think if you look at or speak to Motherwell fans, they're actually quite encouraged about that kind of style of play. And it's a work. The guy's only been in the door, 4 months?
Yeah.
So I still think there's more progress for his team.
Still hear him scaring when he rolls it out at the back.
No, it gives you the heebie-jeebies. But see, the thing is, it's like he says, I think if you say to the Motherwell fans, what do you prefer? The keeper doing that, shelling it into a corner, a flick on, or trying to do something. At least they're trying to do something slightly different.
Have you noticed, Ruffy, that some of the managers now in the Scottish Premiership are saying, listen, to hell with it, launch it?
Yeah, because as we've spoken about, teams catch on to you, they know what you're going to do, so they just press you right away, and then you're relying on the player's ability to get you out of a hole.
Here's the team of the week. You can have a look, see what you think. I've got Schwallow in goal, Cornelius of Rangers, Hanley, Allen, Devlin in the holding, Just, Watt from Motherwell, Sibbald from Dundee United, Kizaridis from Hearts, Klidgey from Hibs, Shanklin from Hearts. Too many Hearts players for
Another
you
Hearts
again?
Motherwell living.
Yeah.
Just every week now. Hearts Motherwell.
Oh, there's only
you having a wee.
I'm sorry. There's these guys are entertaining, aren't they? Are you happy with that squad this week?
Yeah.
I sense a little bit of,
I thought Josh Mulligan was outstanding yesterday. I thought he'd been in the team, but
Yeah.
they're very anti-Hibs this year.
Yeah. Well, once you start getting into the top two, we'll start looking at them. Hibs are a good side, but
yeah.
Anybody that you would maybe we've missed out there? Cornelius it's the first Rangers or Celtic player in the last 3 weeks, Alex.
All right, okay.
Alex, so
I thought he'd done okay. I'll have to be honest with you. I actually thought, he done okay. And it's interesting because I think, and I'm going back over all ground, but see the two outside centre-halves for Rangers, particularly when they're pressing with a two, they have a really important stepping in and then trying to find solutions to get an overload somewhere. So no, he's going to be an important player for them come Wednesday night, because I'm sure he'll play on the left-hand side. Yeah, just before we talk about Wednesday night and finish the show, Bournemouth beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, and Sean Dyche clearly hanging on to his job with his fingernails now, Tam.
I don't think you can afford another 3 or 4 of them, put it that way. Because the chairman's a nutcase in there, but what's happening with your team, Liverpool?
Oh, Liverpool have gone. It's just unbelievable, by the way. I watched it, Brentford. I mean, do you know the problem is, though?
Too many cooks.
The back line is, and I'll tell you another thing, and I don't know why he did it, but he's got a dilemma constantly because he's signed Kerkez, and he feels he has to play him.
He's been poor,
and I would not play him in front of Andy Robertson. I would keep Robertson in the side. I'm not a big fan of Kanati. I think he's a bomb scare. But somewhere along the line now, they're starting to ask questions of Big Virgil's defending. Yeah. And in the right back side, Bradley's not doing it for me. I think he's not. It's a big shoes to fill, though. Yeah, absolutely.
What about the Brentford's throw-in? Pretty impressive,
it's
isn't
like
it?
a rocket, isn't it?
Well, I was up against the lap back in the day.
Aye.
You had to defend the back post.
Long throw-ins are back. Yeah. They're back in vogue now.
But by the way, he's not just... He hit the goal that eventually came. He didn't throw it as, one of those ones that loops.
Aye,
he's
like an arrow.
Like a missile, by the way. It's like a drone going in there, and then you just hope, somebody's going to get a wee...
Boring. It's amazing how trends can keep evolving in it. So you don't see it for 10 years, then all of a sudden everybody's launched into the box.
But can I have a go at you guys, your professional footballers? See if somebody said that you get really good balance by wearing a banana skin on your head. You lot would all wear it. If you're not putting, tape on your nose or cutting the back holes out of your socks because you're going to give you an advantage.
Peter,
honestly.
How many ask why are they putting the socks up there? The knees?
No idea. I've never done it once in 700 games.
No, you've never done that.
700 games.
Would you ask somebody? All out the back of your socks?
It's not happening. None of the strips. I know for this nose you need you need a bandage.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Celtic Falkirk, the only team actually last season that came to Celtic
Park. It's a tricky game for Celtic because Falkirk come have a go, but I think Celtic will just get back and maybe win that. But game of the night is Hibs Rangers.
Yeah, Easter Road. It'll be
a draw.
Yeah.
I went for Rangers earlier on. I was waiting for the dive in.
Yeah, is this a little bit of momentum going there, because this is a big one?
Big game for both.
Absolutely, and as I said, I think if you're going to try and kind of claw back the gap. First and foremost, it has to be to Celtic, try and claw that back, and it gives you momentum going into the semi-final at the weekend. So they have to try and kick on, Peter. But you have to credit Hibs. I think they're a real handful. They've got good attributes. They've got good people coming off the bench. That'll be a really tough night for Rangers.
Yeah, who are you going for?
I went 2-1 Rangers.
Right, okay. Kelly Aberdeen, Ruffy. I'm going to go Kelly to win that one.
Well, both of them are going through a wee bit of a bad spell just now. I'll do the usual one each.
Yeah, okay. It's good for everybody who watches the show because you don't offend them in any capacity. It's called No Opinion. Sam?
I think Kilmarnock will beat Aberdeen as well. I'm just think something's missing from that Aberdeen team at the minute. Aggression, physicality, and I think Kilmarnock have got that in abundance.
Motherwell, Dundee United.
4-0.
Motherwell?
Aye.
Yeah. You don't even know how to take them seriously. It's got the makings of a draw, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going 2-2.
Yeah, I thought you
Aye,
would say
rolls that as well.
St Mirren are playing champions-elect.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-0 to Hearts because I keep tipping them every week to draw or get beaten and it's not working. So I'm going to go 3-0 comfortable Hearts.
He is a moron, isn't he, Ruffy?
No, I've said all along this year St Mirren's a place I wouldn't like to go and expect to win.
All right, okay.
On their day.
So?
I'm going to go one each. No, I think St Mirren will nick this one.
Yeah?
1-0.
No.
I'm going for Hearts.
Yeah.
I think the momentum's so much with them at the moment. It's very difficult to stop what they're doing.
Absolutely. Hearts to win against St Mirren. Just out of curiosity, if you are enjoying our programmes, we've got lots of content, great one-to-ones, and of course there's a brilliant piece that will be out tonight with Alec and Tam looking at, well, talking tactics basically. They're looking at the formations for the Hibs Rangers game. It's the game of the midweek, and they'll be taking you through the way they think the teams are going to line up and the key areas where the match could be won and lost. It's well worth going onto YouTube to see these two go head to head on it and give us their insights. Of course, one of them playing spectacularly in the middle of the park, and Tam up front as a striker, so it's well worth watching that. And if you want to, and you want additional content, and thank you to so many people signing up, PLZ Soccer's Premium, here's what you can win.
Get ready for the trip of a lifetime to the Champions League final in Budapest. This is your chance to experience the ultimate footballing event of 2026. Sign up to PLZ Premium for the season and you're in the draw to win the VIP package to the final. Flights, accommodation and tickets all included for you and one friend. Unlock exclusive content and prize giveaways on PLZ Premium. Do not miss out on this incredible opportunity. Secure your spot for the 2026 Champions League final by clicking the link in our bio.
That's a hell of a prize. It's well worth signing up to it as well. And just out of curiosity, Alec, and I don't know, obviously from your own point of view and your partner, the World Cup's coming up. Look at his eyes going usually automatically honed in.
Just in case Linda's watching.
Yeah, I was just starting to say, I know Linda's ferocious about this, but World Cup's coming up. You've got so many. You're working for CNN, Al Jazeera, Fox TV. You're on Clyde. You're on here. Who would you be going to for the World, the World Cup if we get there?
Who to win it?
Who would you going for actually?
What company?
Broadcasting.
Aye, PLZ obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the prizes you're giving away, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm tipping my hat to you.
Absolutely, fantastic. Okay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks to Alec Ray, Tam McManus, Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin. I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow night, Ruffy, because myself and Hugh McDonald will be heading off to the GFT. We'll be wearing our posh West End gear, and we're going to watch Dalglish the movie.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I've heard so much about it, and obviously we know Kenny really well from him coming on the show, and I'm sure he'll have a couple of wisecracks here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. We'll tell you about it on Wednesday's show. Thank you for listening and watching.